Hello there. In today's video, we're going to talk about the black box and the white box testing and its differences in the context of software testing and quality assurance. So, this is a table of content to the uh, black box testing and the white box testing. First, we're going to talk about the introduction to software testing. We're going to talk about the black box testing, the white box testing, and we are going to compare the differences, advantages, and the disadvantages, and when to use the black box and when to use the white box. And after that, we're going to have a conclusion. So, what is software testing? A software testing is an important process in the software development lifecycle. It involves verifying and validating that a software application is free for bugs, meets the technical and user requirements. And this is actually used to most company right now are using this to justify their user. So uh, let's talk about the difference between the black box testing and the white box testing. First is the black box testing. For the black box testing, it for this type of testing, if you're the tester, uh, you don't have to have the knowledge of, the coding or the internal part of the or the design, which means that the tester only know what the system should do and not how it works. The focus area of this is on what it comes out and not what it is input as the program. And it is used to check if the system behaves as expected from the outside, which means that you are working outside of the programming part, the programming environment. You're trying to, test it if this is user friendly, if this is feasible or something like that. So, for these are the method of the black box testing. First, we talk about the boundary value analysis, which we can use as it can be used for the limitation testing. If it is limited that the value has to be from 1 to 100, and we try testing it for the value that is outside of the limitation. If the value is actually outside of the limitation and the results show uh, the unexpected result for us, which means that this program is fault. But if we actually can make it, fix it everything. So when we put out the value that is outside of the limitation, and then it show the error message, or if we put it correctly in the limitation, then it show the correct message. So this is a really good practice. And we can also do the equivalence class testing if the value is equivalent to each other, or we can do the error guessing, as this is the most general method that is used. We can also have a decision table testing to actually do the testing on the value of the data on the tables. We also can use the visualized method, which is to have a graph-based testing. So this is the example of the black box testing. For this guy, he is a donut consumer, but he is on a black folded mask, which means that he doesn't get to see it, but he can eat it. So he does not know how it is made, but he can give the feedback based on the taste, which is the result, not the process of how it is made. And if we take a look at the real example on the example if we're doing a business or if we are developing product, the tester uses a checklist to see if the system works as expected. So he still has no idea how it works inside, just check if the input gives the right output. So this process is the same. And if we talk about the real world example of real company that are using the black box testing method, uh, of course, Microsoft are the Microsoft company is using it. They use it for their user interface testing to ensure the button, the form, the interaction behave as expected, and they actually use it to also test the functionality, acceptance testing to make sure the final product align with the consumer. And they also have the automated black box test for the regression testing and continuous integration pipelines. And the product that they are using on are these are main products of their company. which is the Windows OS, the most popular operating system in the world. They test the test user interaction with setting, file explorer, and networks. They also use this to test with their Microsoft Office to verify the Word, Excel, and etc. respond correctly to the user's input. They also use this to for the Azure web service to validate API behavior without examining the internal code. So let's move to the white box testing. For the white box testing is the type of testing which the tester used to check the internal code and logic of the software. The tester has access to the source code, and they actually necessarily need to know or to have the sufficient knowledge of programming, and especially the language that is used for developing this program. This is also called a structural or code-based testing, which is used to test the logic flow, code path, and internal structure. It is also used to ensure the code works as expected, not just the output. So for this one, it's like you are doing it inside the box, not outside the box. And for the example, we already discussed about the consumer of donut. So let's talk about the one who bakes the donut. This is the donut baker who know how donuts are made. She sees that the and control the ingredient and process. If there is some flaws or something is wrong on her donut that is she's making, she can just fix it because she know how to make it. So it's easy for her. She can check if each step is correct and not just only the taste. And that is called white box testing. For the example of the company, the tester looks into the system and check the code, and he verifies the logic, path, and structure. So this means the same. And if we talk about this is the method of the white box testing and how it is worked. So um, we have two different things for white box testing, two different ways that we can go. We can either go to the unit testing, or we can either go to the integrating testing. Let me sum this up. For the unit testing, it actually tests the module parts by part to actually make sure that each module is working well. But for the integration testing, we actually test if each module are working together well. So this is the real world example of a company that is using the white box testing, which is another big company, Google. They have implemented across their Google Search, their Gmail, and their Google Cloud platform. They use to validate search algorithm efficiency and accuracy. They also test this with a team who can analyze the source code to identify the vulnerability. They can also help optimize the performance, and they can also use this coding based testing method to enhance their security. They also utilize the Google Test Framework for the C++ projects. They also ensure the code quality in their continuous integration pipeline. They support their large-scale distributed system like the cloud or the data center. They can also enable the comprehensive test coverage across the complex code bases. So let's move on to the differences, the advantage and the disadvantage, and when to use the black box and when to use the white box. So this is for this we have the aspect as the category. We have the black box testing and the white box testing. So for the description, test for the short description for the black box testing, it tests the internal behavior only. Internal working is ignored, which means that they're testing from the outside of the programming environment. But for the white box testing, they are doing it in the programming environment, which means that the one who tests it has to uh, have the sufficient knowledge of how it works and how to make it. For the execution or performed, this is the task that is performed by the tester. Basically, only those who know how to test is enough for the black box testing. But for the white box testing, the tester has to know the programming, especially the language that is used for developing this product. Uh, Specifically for the testing phase. For the phase that is used for testing, the black box testing is the system or acceptance testing. But for the phase that is mainly used for the white box testing is to test the unit or integration testing. For time, for time consuming, as I research and what it is said and what is happening in the reality, uh, for the black box testing, it actually takes less time. But you know, uh, even though it is taking less time, it doesn't mean that it is better. Both of the method are, important for the company, for the industry, in the software environment. Because even though the white box take more time, but there's just testing in the other part, and the black box is testing in the other part. So the developer is testing the code, and the tester is testing the output. For the focus area, the black box testing is focusing on the behavior testing, which means that they are testing on how the system behaves. But for the white box testing, it actually testing how the logic in the programming part in the programming environment actually is working. So which the developer has to work with the data and does their code work well to handle the data. Let me state this again. For the white box testing, they ensure that their program control the data well. But for the black box testing, they make sure that the program is giving the right data as the output. And for the aliases, for the black box testing, it is data driven, functional, and for the white box testing, this is a clear box, code-based, structural, transparent testing. For the algorithm testing only, it's only for white box because there is nothing to talk in outside the programming environment when we are solving the algorithm problem. And here it comes to the conclusion. Both black box and white box testing are important components of a comprehensive software testing strategy. Both needs to be used. Black box testing validate the functionality from a user's perspective without knowledge of internal code, but the white box testing ensure code quality, logic flow, and structural integrity with access to the source code. The best practices combine both approaches for the maximum test coverage and software quality. For an example, the black box testing by the QA tester plus the white box testing by developer, you get the perfect software for the users. So this is the reference that I found for this project, and that's it. Thank you.